One theme that I see is, a lot of racist imagery, the stereotypes that sort of became prevalent, like the fried chicken and the watermelon. A lot of somber faces, of course, but there are also some smiling faces. Being separated from their families, I think the idea of postcards, sending messages and keeping connections. America, it needs a reminder of what it was built on. And I think maintaining installations like these is just so important because history is important so we can understand why these things happen today. It's not to say that no one else's life matters, but this is why we say Black Lives Matter. You have to look at things like this, these photos, these postcards, and read about the history that we went through at your hands.
Well, before they were just stories that one's here in class and then you have to take a test on it and make sure that you know the material. But now it's a lot more real, I suppose. It's a lot easier to see that these stories weren't only stories. They were lives that people had, that people were living, that they had to deal with these problems every day and wake up to this and go to sleep to this. And for them, it was a reality and not just a story. Postcards, well, there was one that had a section of a song, like a couple verses that was talking about, I believe, a slave that was being sold to a different plantation and was being taken away from his family. It's sad to see that anybody would ever want to do that to another person, to inflict that kind of pain on somebody else.
In school, it's like the more softened, like you don't get the more hardcore, like where people were like just like getting hung and seeing all like the scary images. It's more like they tell you more about the happy things like overcoming, but don't speak too much on what they had to do to overcome it. My like African American like friends and like the community, I want them to like see this and be more grateful and just want to never have to go through any of the terrors or the bad things that happened. I want them to like just see all of this and then look at your life today and say, wow.
It just still opens my eyes up to see what they went through and what they're still going through. Some of the images made me feel kind of disgusted in a way with the whole racism. Some of the postcards really struck me. There was one that was a picture of a little white boy and a little black boy in a bed, and it was bright out, but the white boy was saying, "I'm afraid of the dark," and that kind of interprets that he's afraid of Black people.
There is no such thing as a racist baby. If you're brought up that way, then your parents or people who have influenced you to be racist.
A lot of different cultures have a lot of different pasts that should be understood, and everyone should make an attempt to understand why certain cultures are the way they are. And I think that exhibitions just like this will help that.